Have you ever heard the phrase, misery loves company? This phrase reflects a common reality for many people. When we're sad, we often listen to sad music. When we're angry, we engage in aggressive activities. We like to feed our emotions, reinforce our state of mind. Unfortunately, this can often lead us deeper into dark places. What happens when misery visits during a time of social distancing? Perhaps you've been struggling through this season of life for any number of reasons. There's certainly no shortage of concerning matters at the moment. In the midst of trying times, life moves forward, and the hard realities of a fallen world don't wait for better timing. In other words, it's likely that difficult things are being compounded right now. Misery still loves company, even during quarantine. So, what might be happening is that you can't seem to escape your own thoughts. Maybe you keep cycling back to the challenges you're facing and feeding those feelings of sadness, fear, confusion, or whatever else you might be struggling with. Miserable thoughts love miserable thoughts. What can we do to break free from that cycle? Proverbs 18:1 states, "Whoever isolates himself seeks his own desire. He breaks out against all sound judgment." This has proven to be a challenging verse throughout history due to difficulties in translation and interpretation. I won't take the time to go into all that right now, but the English Standard Version, which I just read from, is a sound representation of the original language and captures the meaning well. The idea is that a person who is pursuing a destructive or unwise desire often willingly isolates himself or herself from those who would hinder his or her progress in achieving it. Then, when that pursuit is challenged for being destructive or unwise, the person breaks out against it, refusing to listen to wisdom and instead scoffing at and reacting negatively towards whoever or whatever challenged him or her. As Kyle and Delitzsch, the outstanding Hebrew scholars, put it, "The separatist seeketh after his own pleasure. Against all that is beneficial, he showeth his teeth." When we really want something that we know we shouldn't, we cut out any voices that tell us what we don't want to hear. And then when someone ventures to tell us the truth, what we need to hear, we bare our teeth in response. The Cambridge Bible states that the proverb then is a condemnation of the selfish isolation of the self-seeker or the misanthrope. When we are not in a good way and not thinking rightly about things, it is all too easy and tempting to isolate ourselves and further feed that mentality. Both an example and an answer to this problem can be found in Shakespeare's portrayal of Richard III, who fully embodied what is here condemned by the proverb. After boasting that he has neither pity, love, nor fear, Richard is told that he was born with teeth in his mouth, to which he replies, "And so I was," which plainly signified that I should snarl and bite and play the dog. I have no brother. I am like no brother. And this word love, which graybeards call divine, be resident in men like one another, and not in me. I am myself alone. And that conclusion is the key. Love was absent from Richard's heart, and the subsequent aloneness fed his miserable thoughts, so that the animal inside snarled and showed its teeth. The path away from such a place is to chart the opposite course. If the absence of love led here, the presence of love leads elsewhere. When we dwell only upon ourselves, even in the midst of difficulties, we will find those thoughts hard to escape. If, however, we consider others and their needs, we find our minds drawn away from the cycle of misery and our aching hearts soothed with the balm of love. Instead of feeding our misery with more dark thoughts centered on our own plight, we can starve it by thinking of others and finding ways to serve them in love. This is the example we find in the life of Jesus, the greatest servant who ever lived. There is nothing we can do in this life more Christ-like than serve others, even and especially when we ourselves are struggling with the weight of a broken world. When we pour out our cup to refresh the lives of those around us, we will find that our own hearts are often refreshed in the process. Isolation, willingly dwelling upon ourselves only, breeds bitterness and more sorrow. If you're struggling with life at the moment, don't allow yourself to become isolated in your thoughts and behaviors. The next time you feel overwhelmed, pray for other people. The next time you feel alone, reach out to someone and remind them they are not alone. The next time thinking about everything that's going on becomes too much, think about how you might be a blessing and encouragement to someone else. Help others see and remember the goodness and love of God. Along the way, you will see and remember it too. Misery may love company, but the presence of God is a far greater joy. When we serve others as Christ did, His presence becomes very real to us. This is the path forward. Not isolation, but love and concern for those around us.